This is Emotional Intelligence Simplified, a weekly podcast that is focused on demystifying and discussing what emotional intelligence is. I am Angela Mwihaki, and today I am joined again by Vicky Karuga. How are you?
I am very well, thank you very much.
Last time we were talking about the scarf model.
I know we got a bit technical there.
Yes.
Got a bit, I hope we didn't lose people.
They need to tell us. Did it make sense? But anyway, why don't we just do a quick recap of what we said?
So I was sharing the work done by David Rock.
Yes.
And the model that he came up with and is written about called SCARF, which he says is a brain-based model for collaborating and influencing with others. There are many models out there, but today we decided, or rather the last episode, we decided, why don't we just use this model to just show how every day we can either experience people from a rewarding perspective or from a not so rewarding perspective.
And of course, what led us to this SCARF model was a discussion on self-awareness and how important it is.
Yeah.
That's how we started. We started with self-awareness and we said it's crucial for everything that we do.
Yeah, and in fact, when you're listening to this podcast, we encourage and invite you to listen to it through that lens of self-awareness. How am I feeling about this information? How am I reflecting on how I'm showing up in these various aspects that we're speaking to?
Excellent. So we said SCARF is an acronym for certain words, and I think there were status, certainty, autonomy, relatedness, and fairness. So what was status about?
So status was just basically that, our relative importance to other people, in a nutshell. Very simple.
So like when I'm sitting in the traffic jam and we're all going one way and some people think they're in a bigger hurry than everybody else and they decide to overtake and overlap on the wrong side of the road.
What's the first question you're asking?
Kwani, who do you think you are?
Okay, right there. So you're thinking, do they think they're more important than me?
Absolutely.
And I can see feelings starting to come up. So, Mwihaki, how are you feeling? Do you need a moment?
No, in the traffic, yes, but for now, no.
Yeah, very simple. And I love the question, Kwani, who do they think they are? And they've not even done anything. All they did was, okay, well, let me not stop. Let me
all
stop
they
minimize.
did was overtake and overlap on the wrong side of the route, causing a risk to everyone. Am I overthinking this?
I don't think you are, but we need to calm you down. We're on a podcast.
Okay, well, no, I'm not upset. I'm just, okay, yeah, I am calming down. Yes.
Yeah, and so I just want to put it in perspective for you, and why we're talking about EI is that, yes, they're overtaking on the wrong side of the road. Sometimes you're not even the one there. You've seen the guy, he's like 2 cars away from you, and you can already feel yourself being irked by that particular session,
yes,
or that particular action. Yeah, so it has even nothing to do with you sometimes.
No, it's true. Because you see, they're overlapping. Who cares? But I'm like, why? So
and
status.
So you do make some decisions, don't you? And at that point, you're not experiencing that action as very rewarding, are you?
No, I'm not.
There's no positive feeling being elicited from that.
Absolutely none.
So if I brought you a problem right there, what would you tell me first?
Leave me alone. Let me first calm down.
Ngoja kwanza nisoti issue
ngoja kwanza. Stress.
And a very serious problem, I tell you, by the way, your car has a flat tire.
Ooh.
Ni kwa sababu ya hawa si wanashinanga waki overlap. Mbona vile tumeka kwa traffic? I've never have this flat tire.
It becomes mountains.
It becomes mountains.
It was like a molehill.
It was like a molehill. It has become a mountain.
Yeah.
So how do you see this working in the workplace?
Wow. So it's how colleagues make you feel. How am I relating? Do they treat me well? Do I feel acknowledged? Do I feel present? Yeah. So that's what status means.
So when you don't feel acknowledged, when you don't feel present, when you don't feel...
Negativity. Bad vibes. I will be dreading going to Jobo. Yeah, it's not pleasant.
It's not pleasant.
But if it's always of, hey, what's up? How you doing? Then I look forward. Yeah.
So what are some of the things in your mind you can think of that we can eliminate at the workplace? Just simple things when we're considering EI from the lens now of status, how important do you think you are? Kwani we ni nani?
Wow. I hadn't thought about it that way, yeah.
I'll give you one example.
Okay.
Performance appraisal.
I hate appraisals. Did I say that loud? Yes. Every November, depression sets in.
Depression sets in. So like this person who's
That 1 week is a long one.
important,
Yeah.
is going to make a few decisions about.
They're going to decide whether, yes, have I done what I need to do or not.
So what would you do if you were the one giving the appraisal? What would you do different?
I would interact with people throughout the year, not that last 1 week.
Cool. What else?
And talk to people, give feedback regularly. So that I know, okay, am I slacking off? Am I doing okay? Because it helps you know. It's the fear of the unknown, I think, that becomes a challenge. Yeah.
Good. So some of the things you can do at a performance appraisal, if you're the one giving the appraisal, is also invite the person to give their own version of events first.
So what has your experience been this year? How have you been feeling?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't forget that when
involve the person so that they feel valued. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do you see that? And remember, sometimes when we feel other people are more important than us or are trying to be more important than us, we might also end up lashing out at them to minimize.
To prove a point.
Yes, to prove a point, minimize. Doesn't matter that the point is valid, but you're trying to minimize, chenga them, all those things. So those are other self-sabotaging behaviors you might find yourself engaging just because someone was trying to be more important when they're really not.
They're actually just doing their job.
Yes, they're actually just doing their job. Another way that you can also ensure that you put people in a more positive place when it comes to taters is to appreciate them, offer them praise as often as you can. There's so many things. Yeah, like you're looking very lovely today, Mwehaki.
Oh, thank you. Or acknowledge somebody keeps time. We know, I like the fact that you're always on time.
Yeah.
So they know, so they notice what I'm doing. I am being seen.
Sincerely, though. Don't overdo it.
No, okay, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And then what was the second thing we talked about? It was certainty.
Yes.
And we said that was the ability to predict the future. And basically what we were saying here is people don't do very well with mixed messages.
Yes.
They don't do at all.
Or mixed instructions. So I'm not too sure exactly what it is I'm supposed to do.
And so what can we do when we know this to increase the chances of them experiencing us more positively?
I think clarity is the first thing. Be very clear about the things that you're saying so they clearly understand. Also involve them. As we're saying, okay, so you guys, we need to redo the boardroom. We are thinking of doing ABCD. What do you think would make this boardroom more effective? So there's certainty. I now know we're doing that to help us.
Okay. And also that you're doing the boardroom in the first place, on what day, what time, what is expected, how are you involved?
Yes.
So that I can foresee my role and how it's going to play out in the next 1 month, how that's going to affect some of the work that I'm going to do or that I'm doing. And also, what do you require from me? That needs to be very clear.
Okay.
So how do you see this playing out in our regular maisha?
You are listening to Emotional Intelligence Simplified. Well, when things are clear, you can, how do we say here? You can panga yourself.
Have you ever been on a date with someone and the date was supposed to start at 11 o'clock? And when you call them, they tell you, I'm just here. Nova.
I know everything starts going down south.
So where are you?
Or there's no plan to it. Let's meet. What are we going to do? You just meet.
Yeah. So suddenly,
you don't even know
meet?
what to dress. Are we going bowling?
Suddenly, it's not even important for you to meet, is it?
No, because it's just, let's just meet. What is that?
Huh? Yeah.
There's no plan. Or let's do like 11. What is like 11?
What is like 11?
Let's meet like 11. What's that? What is like 11? So
But even when
it's being forced.
But even when someone is late and they're not giving you the exact place where they are, you're getting very frustrated.
Yes.
Because if they told you I'm an hour away, you can make a decision about what you're going to do.
I could go do something else and come
Yes,
back. But
and
when you're just saying, I'm over here. Kwanza the ones who like, in fact, I think I can see you. Wait, an hour later, bado.
Yeah, you feel very frustrated. And in fact, it also plays to the third one, the third discussion, which is around autonomy, because you're taking control away from me. You're not allowing me to decide what I do with my time.
Absolutely.
Just sitting there, waiting for you. You're not giving me clarity around where you are. If you just told me that, I am an hour away, what do you want to do? Do you want to wait for me or do we reschedule? That makes a big difference.
Absolutely. Or gives me a choice to go out and do something else. Maybe I need to do shopping or whatever and come back.
Yeah. And when we speak now on the third one, which is autonomy, is about how do we make others feel part of this process? And I think we even mentioned it when you're talking about the boardroom.
Yeah.
And we hear every day micromanagers.
It's very painful. It's like having a backseat driver. Oh, you should indicate now. I think that's the best example of micromanagement.
Actually, yeah. I remember.
Why are you hooting? Especially when you're driving and you have a parent with you. They even kanyaga brakes for you.
Is this the point where, please, you just step out of the car? I can do this all by myself.
Yeah, micromanaging is exhausting.
For both you and the person who is there.
I don't know that they realize they're micromanaging. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's a problem. If you're going to delegate.
Mm-hmm. Responsibly, because you also have to check in. So you probably
conditions.
And also ask the person how they want to be managed. Yeah, set milestones and say, these are important milestones that we need to catch up on because we need to agree on certain things. But then do you want me to check in on you or are you okay by yourself?
Or how do we do this? Will you send me a weekly email?
Also,
daily,
please
whatever?
Understand that I love checking on people, so I will possibly be still sending you that email. Just understand it. I'm in no way doubting your capabilities of doing this particular work. So it's also about being open and saying, you know what, hey, I'm a micromanager and I'm trying really hard.
You are.
Owning who you are.
Okay.
Doing you in the best way possible. And there's a lot about...
Do you know things would change actually? Somebody explained to me that was their nature, so I'd not feel incompetent.
Exactly.
Yeah, because he explained to me, I'm sorry, but I'm a stickler, so I will be checking. It's not about you. So that I know, okay, this is just who they are. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. That does.
And
really.
When it gets too much, please tell me. That's also giving them autonomy in terms of control over how much of you they are seeing.
That's true.
Yeah. So which brings us to the next one also about delegation and delegating tasks. So if I feel micromanaged, also I feel insecure about my ability. So I feel like I'm being always under a microscope.
Yes.
So is the work I'm even doing correct?
You even doubt yourself. You get to a point where
I don't even want to make a mistake. And that even thing I said about being smart, I don't feel as smart as I really should feel. We also understand that, yes, you cannot delegate fully, especially if someone is inexperienced. But I think we get the drift here.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. And then the fourth thing we talked about is actually on relatedness. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And here, when we talked about relatedness, we're talking about how safe we feel with others. So I think I shared that we are people of tribes.
Yeah, we have to have a sense of belonging.
We're people of political...
That's why we follow football clubs.
Exactly.
We do what?
So when we're following the football club, me and you trust each other. But then once that football season is over, we move on to something else. You're suddenly my enemy. And case in point, refer to politics. Immediately we're divided. We forget everything else we had. And this is actually where you see now politics really playing in terms of organizations, because there is a certain pockets of trust because of this relatedness that we're talking about.
There'll be cliques.
Yes.
Side with Nani.
Exactly. So you can actually have in your team buddy systems of people brainstorming together, sort of like committees, if you want to call it. And you can always ensure that you're putting in activities together of an informal nature to grow the level of acquaintance with people.
Yes. So the relationships boom and people start feeling like we're one family.
Exactly.
I think that buddy system really works because I've seen it work in Rotary, where you have many club members. So you decide to put them in little groups of like 8 or 10 and they get to know each other. And you notice that everything becomes better. People get to know each other better. So I think that would be really cool in the workplace. Make people from different departments into little groups. So they understand how HR, so to start hating HR or accounts because we think they're the ones who make our lives difficult. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, again, never underestimate the power of informal collaboration.
Yes.
Not around work, not around things like that. Really getting settings where people can experience themselves away from
work.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Instead of just doing one team building once a year.
Once a year. And
so we feel good for 2-3 weeks and then we forget.
We forget or we move back to whatever work mode. And if you do it frequently enough, then you're allowing people to be vulnerable and you're allowing people to be safe with vulnerability.
Yes.
And so they're learning to share more. They're learning to understand everyone else is just like them. They're learning to share off their problems and get more solutions within the workplace. So there you go.
I like that.
Okay. And then the last one we talked about was fairness. And we even mentioned fairness in the very first episode that we did.
When we thought of the good teacher and the bad, the good
mentor,
boss and the
parent,
bad boss.
Yeah, exactly. And here we're just really checking about our perception towards decisions made, exchanges between people, how people are being treated. Do we see it as fair? And that's a very important part as well for us as human beings. We want to believe that people have been given their due diligence, so to speak.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's why, in fact, another thing that we get very upset on the road for is because we perceive it as unfair.
But it is unfair.
What if there was someone in the car there who was dying?
But that's why you have ambulances.
But then not all of us can get ambulances.
No, or have a hazard and hoot and whatever. Make it clear. And why is it only a particular types of cars that do that?
In fact, they say that when we experience something unfair, we actually get disgusted. It's that serious of an emotion. We are like disgusted. We're like, my goodness.
No, it's true. Okay, I don't know that disgust is the same as and disappointed.
I don't even think you're disappointed. You're disgusted.
Yeah, you're disgusted first.
Disappointment is,
but the disappointment also comes in. I'm like, really? You couldn't think? Oh no. You have to stop saying these things out loud.
You have to stop saying those things out loud. That is true.
But I do.
Yeah. So tell me, what would you do?
In terms of?
In terms of making sure that what you're working on, the decisions you're making are being perceived more fair. I mean, fair most of the time.
I think, first of all, is whatever we're doing, make sure we're on the same page. So that we understand why we're doing things. And the explanation, so that if actions have consequences, people are aware from the beginning. So that then when things go wrong, you understand. Because I think sometimes people's judgment of fairness is from their point of understanding. If we haven't fully understood what this entails, I may just feel that if I do my bit, it's okay, and I don't help anyone else, it's okay. But yet we needed to all collectively give for a proper result. So I think communication there is very important.
Communication is important, but but in addition to that is our ability to be a bit more vulnerable, which is very hard, and to explain things as they are, even mistakes as they are. To be honest.
Yes.
To be honest. So, case in point, if I come in and I'm able to honestly explain a situation, not just say there's some information that was on a need to know, and so that's why everyone thinks this decision is not fair, but it's because I can't tell them everything. And I hear that a lot. So the ability or actually it's an ability, it is a skill to be able to share information honestly, vulnerably, means that people will feel that they've gotten a deeper understanding of why this particular thing went the way it is. Also consultation.
You are listening to Emotional Intelligence Simplified. I think one area like that comes in a lot is like in HR, when companies have to cut back or cut down.
Yeah.
So sometimes they don't explain how and why. So all you hear is just rumors. People are going, people are going.
Uncertainty.
So guys panic, exactly. Yet, even if you're HR and it's on a need to know, you could at least explain. You cannot say that Angie is going and he's going, but you can say, due to the prevailing circumstances, you guys have seen, even our sales are not doing well, this and that is happening. After COVID, our business, if you give that kind of explanation, at least one, I think people can expect. So you have to be honest.
You have to be honest.
It cannot just be, the company has decided.
You have to stop hiding.
It sounds like, explain, give an explanation. Because I think human beings, if we can understand, it's easier.
It's easier. Like we said, if we are certain, we can listen. We are able to have information that allows us to make decisions about our own future. Then we experience these things a bit more positively. So another thing is when you do not tackle inappropriate behavior as well, that is a recipe for disaster, because people also perceive as this is very unfair. So what that inappropriate behavior could span so many things, including giving work to one employee because you find that they execute it the very best.
Yes. So they start feeling like it's unfair.
They feel unfair, and also people feel unfair around them.
Or this one is the boss's pet. So they get negative energy, yet it has nothing to do with them.
It has nothing to do with them, and it has everything to do with the fact that you do not or feel threatened or feel uncomfortable really trusting other people. And so since you found the one that works, let's work with this one.
That's a tricky one.
Yeah, it can be tricky.
So you have to really strike your balance. But also, what do you do then maybe if the others are not up to par?
Yeah, so one of the things I remember I got feedback on was that kind of bias, and not really knowing that it was bias. Because for me, it was just that this particular person is good at this. So, I find it easier to work with them. But at the end of the day, everyone looking around is thinking, okay, first, why is it always this person they're working with? Second, I don't feel like I've been given a chance to try and do this and this and the other. And because of the nature of the fact that this person we're getting a closer relationship with means that we have a better rapport. And so inadvertently, it looks
the rest feel isolated.
The rest feel isolated. So that was one of the key feedback I've received in my journey for growing EI, and it was not ill-intentioned. And
they were just trying to be effective and efficient.
Yes, if I hadn't gotten that feedback, I'd have never noticed.
So now I'm asking myself, am I favoring certain people? Do I work more with certain people? Oh, wow. So how do you fix that? Because
it starts with self-awareness. Why do you?
No, I so relate. Because it's true, sometimes there are those people who are easier to do things with. Either you kind of like think the same. Or for whatever reason, there's just a reason.
There's a reason.
That somehow things flow. And I have just thought and asked myself, could others be feeling like, Kwani, we're not good enough? No, Kwani, who does she think she is?
Who does she think she is? Yeah, everyday occurrences in our workplaces.
Yeah, the light bulb just went on. I'm like,
Seek feedback. Feedback is a gift.
So when we say seek feedback, how do you do that without looking needy?
Feedback is needy.
No, you're trying to people please. I don't know. How do you do it objectively?
First, you have to be comfortable with vulnerability, because seeking feedback means that you have to be vulnerable enough to say, I need and I want help.
So how do we do that in the office?
It's not as simple as just waking up and saying, okay,
you guys tell me what you think. Where?
There's an art and way to feedback. Possibly we shall cover it in one of the sessions that we have on this podcast, how to effectively seek feedback for growth and also to respond effectively when challenged. So there is quite a bit of information that we can talk about when we talk about feedback. But yeah, it's
an interesting thing.
Self-feedback is also very important. What you're doing right now, reflecting back and thinking, do I own something, am I biased towards someone? What you're currently doing.
Yeah, what I'm thinking back in my head and asking myself, do I give everybody...
Exactly.
That's how the self-awareness comes back.
Exactly.
Am I giving everybody same opportunities?
Yeah. So opportunity for reflection.
Food for thought.
Food for thought.
And it starts now.
And the most innocent of persons could be doing it and not really being aware. Yeah, and you're the great boss, but they notice you have a propensity or you have a whatever to work with this particular 2-3 individuals. There you go.
So that is a tough one. So do you, as my listener, tell us, do you tend to favor certain people? Or when you're thinking of creating a team, do you always have a certain person in mind or certain people in mind, and others you're like, no. So how do we, and could that be affecting your work?
And
could it be affecting how
with,
you relate with people around you?
Yeah, it even
like
goes
you
with
hear
personality.
kids saying, this one was a favorite child of our mother. So the rest don't like
so
you.
Unfair.
So I guess it affects us in every way, whether it is at work, in your friendships, in your relationships.
Yeah. And like I was saying, even certain personalities, I have been in discussions where someone says, I know what makes a good employee. I know who they are. They're go-getters. And when they give me the list of descriptions, I'm just looking and saying, yeah, this is definitely you we're hiring. We're hiring someone exactly like you. We're hiring you. And again, that we talked about decisions. That means that your decision is a bit biased because not all roles require the same kind of personality.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you need some people who can be the creatives, the thinkers, and then you need the doers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And usually your creatives, they're not going to do.
No,
it would be, for them it's a chore. It's like a punishment.
Yeah, so
yet you have those guys who, they love attention to detail.
Yeah.
So they will undertake the project really well.
Yeah.
So they're good at implementing.
Yeah.
And maybe your creatives are just good at creating.
And they're just good. And it's good. And it's
they're happy. And they want to move on to the next thing.
And they will keep creating.
But now you want them to hammer the nails. And, it's punishment. I speak as a creative.
That is true. So all these things, the SCARF model was just basically meant to give away, and we will be exploring other models in this podcast. So just give away of a very simple way of seeing how we are showing up to our colleagues, how we're showing up at the workplace, how we're showing up even to our lives, our spouses, our children, the matatu driver that who's just pitaed you, and all those other things that we have been encountering in this life.
These people who throw litter and you want to go and help them collect it.
Who the hell do they think they are?
Why?
Yeah, maybe sometimes you need to realize maybe they were never taught, and that's not a big deal to them. Let's litter the whole population, which is why then again messaging becomes very important, because everyone then starts reading from the same script.
So how do we message? Because that's, because we need to start, because if everybody wasn't taught the right thing. So that's a way we can positively use emotional intelligence to help people stop littering. I can see it now. Because it's true, some people, if you didn't know the value of it, you don't see the importance.
No.
But if we can quietly start telling people, like how we're now being told to recycle.
And then think about it this way: when someone litters and you approach them the first time, obviously someone high in EI will
get it.
Will possibly approach them in a manner that is likely to elicit a positive reaction.
Yes.
But for you, you're like, unafikiria nani atakuwa keoskote? Kwanza na if you're like me whose mother comes from Nyeri. So unafikiria nani ataokota hiyo takataka mtupa huko? Ama takataka kwa na miguu yake itatembea iende kwa dustbin.
Our mothers are the same. It doesn't matter where they come from.
Yeah, and by the way, we keep talking like this because that's the way we were taught. That's the way I was taught.
That's how we were cultured.
So I'm busy giving the same message in the same way to this guy, poor guy. And he's already, first he's in his head, the SCARF model is going through. He's like, who the hell does she think?
Who's her status? He's already thinking, I am below.
I'm below. And I mean, what the hell? So we've already lost each other.
He's feeling lost.
This engagement is not, the outcome is not going to be what I desired.
Autonomy, hakuna.
Yeah. So
relatedness, he can't relate. What's your problem with me throwing this down?
Yeah.
It's not your flaw.
I mean, there are casual people who've been employed. If we didn't throw things down here, how many times have you heard someone say something like that? I've actually had several people say that.
Yeah, people are paid to clean this place.
I'm like, it makes sense, but at the same time, it doesn't. Huh?
Yeah.
And I guess, littering is like anything else, something of a value. So if you don't hold it, how do I have to approach you for you to see the value in not littering? Because my positive outcome or desired outcome for this situation is that you
will not litter, and you will carry your garbage and throw it in an appropriate place.
And you're not going to do that just because I tell you.
No, you have to buy it.
Yeah.
There has to be a buy-in.
There's a bit of work to be done there.
Absolutely. So please, as you give us your thoughts and comments, can you tell us how can we use emotional intelligence to stop people from littering? Because that one drives me nuts. You're driving, the guy starts first. So the eating maize, they first throw the leaves. Then the cob comes out, it's thrown out the window.
The leaves are biodegradable.
At least those are biodegradable. Now they're finished with the water. Shwee, out goes the plastic bottle. Please tell us, how can we now, maybe that's an assignment for all of us, using emotional intelligence, how do we convince people not to litter? But of course, this and other thoughts, please share them with us on our social media platforms, and we'll definitely get to talk about them. Tell us about you and how you feel this CAF model applies to you when you think about status, certainty, autonomy, relatedness, and fairness, in your workplace and in the family. How does that work for you?
And allow me to just throw in something there as well. With the same kind of care we take to create messages around products, to elicit certain messages, are you creating the same kind of thought process when it comes to communicating some of these more important things?
Yeah. How do you communicate? How do you let people know your happiness, your anger, your stress? Or if you're working in a team, are you helping them see the dream? Are you sharing it with them? Are they owning it? Maybe that's why we need to be, again, self-aware. So we're breaking down emotional intelligence here on our podcast, Emotional Intelligence Simplified. We would love to hear from you. Give us your thoughts, your opinions. I am Angela Mwehaki.
And I am Vicky Karoga.
We're looking forward to seeing you next time. You are listening to Emotional Intelligence Simplified. If you want to get in touch with us, you can do so on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We are Profiles International. If you want to get more information on the programs we run or what we do, write to us at info@profiles.co.ke. You can also WhatsApp us or call us on 0722 457777. You can also contact Angela Mwehaki at Mwehaki Thinking Out Loud on Twitter and on Facebook at Angela Mwehaki.